Rajiv, thank you so much for doing this. It really means a lot to me and my audience. Do you want to do a quick introduction for people who might not
Yeah,
know?
just a lawyer practicing, working hard, um, practice immigration law in the DC area. My name is Rajiv. That's enough. People want to hear what I have to say, not who I am. So it's
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love it. I love your style. So I want to start directly about the H1B changes, which was announced yesterday. Like, if you want to summarize, I've already made a video on it, but from your perspective, like, what has major changes?
You see, I'm not sure how much context people want. Now, remember, I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah,
All I do is legal immigration, employment based immigration, business investment based immigration. This is all we do.
yeah,
I have seen the law develop from its infancy. I have also helped write some of the laws. So I have been an expert system in courts. I've interpreted the law for the court. So I have seen this law evolve, if we can call it that, and devolve. Sometimes it seems enlightened and sometimes it's dumb as a dodo. This whole area of law is incredible.
yeah.
So I don't know what kind of context we need, but I can begin from today and work backwards.
Yeah, sure.
And stop me when you want me to stop. Because
Will do.
remember, as I said during IT Surveillance's meeting, they said, talk about immigration law. And I said, that's like asking a Pandit to talk about Gita.
Yeah,
Do you have the rest of your life? I can talk about it the rest of your life. So what has happened, the latest thing that has happened is Trump administration, knowing that this is not going anywhere, they know it. They know it. Last
interesting.
3 regulations, they know they are going to get challenged. Many of them are going to get thrown out. So what they did was, this time they came and said, oh, you know what? This random selection of lottery is not working.
Right.
Let's do this. We are going to begin from the highest salary and work our way down.
Right.
Okay. So therefore, there's no randomness. Now people who make the most money get selected. Now, that's not given in the statute. So they say we are interpreting the statute. And then what they did was they took one line from one of the House reports to try to interpret the statute. And I said, that is not how it works. And they know it because they don't have, their lawyers are very smart.
Right.
It's because, politics and law don't often mix.
Yeah.
Sometimes the politicians want you to do certain things that you as a lawyer know are not going to work. But if the dumbass wants it, let me do it.
Yeah.
In this case, the dumbass is Steve Miller. Okay. So he's the guy who locked up the kids in cages and Trump said, yeah, fine, go ahead and do it. So let's not forget who the snakes are.
Yeah.
With that said, they, under the guise of interpreting the statute, have said, Congress wanted us to bring in the brightest. Not true. It's a fundamental rule of common sense. When you want to understand a document, you look at the document.
Right.
If there is something that is not clear, then you go behind the document. Was Yudi fighting with his wife the day he wrote that? Were they in a bad mood? We don't really need to get into all that. The document says XYZ. That's exactly how it is. So they're trying to get behind a statute that is clear on its face. We'll see. So I think they understand that this is not going to work out. But Trump is desperate for votes.
Yeah.
Guys, everybody who's a US citizen, please go out and vote. Make sure that you don't stay at home. This has been an incredible year for people voting, incredible turnout. Let's keep that going. With a plug-in for voting, let's go back to what we were talking about. I don't think it's going to stand the test of a court.
Right.
If
Sorry to interrupt. So let's say if this do happen, let's hypothetically, let's assume that if this happens. My question was, and a lot of questions I got from my audience was that, how are they going to decide? Because software engineers will maybe make 150,000, but business analysts maybe make 90,000. So how are they going to is that everybody has to make that much money, or like are they going to decide? And what about the state-wise? Because some like California has higher wages versus Dallas or North Carolina. So how are they going to make? Yeah.
Ask me next week. I haven't had a chance to review the entire regulation.
Okay.
I've read the first 40 pages and I kept shaking my head and kept doing a face palm because like, holy cow, what are they talking about? Ask me, but I'll tell you the 3 fundamental flaws I saw right away.
Yeah.
That each one of them is a separate lawsuit. And of course, if they're combined together, they could be lethal. Number 1, trying to interpret the statute that's already clear. Number 2, finding their authority in the emergency declaration. Well, oh, by the way, the president has asked us to find ways to preserve American jobs. Wait a minute. I'm all for it. I live in this country. I want what is good for this country. Even though we practice immigration law, and it's good for us to have more visas, but it's equally good for us to have other kind of work. Immigration work never ends. Investment, EB1s, extraordinary ability people, it never ends. I have never had a time when we were not busy. Something or the other comes up. I'm not concerned about the volume of the work going down. That's never an issue. But give me a reason. So when you say the employment is down, 10% unemployment, well, right now it's actually much less than that. Let's say 10% unemployment. How much of it is dock workers and how much of it is neurosurgeons?
Right.
Are neurosurgeons looking for jobs at the docks? Are the dock workers looking to put on surgical gloves and masks and do surgeries on you? No. These are all different jobs.
Yes.
Don't club them all together and say, oh, unemployment. You are taking away jobs from people who are saving your lives.
Right.
I had a pulmonary care specialist. You are looking for pulmonary care specialists. They have created so many problems with this visa. One of the top guys in this country. Because the country is being run by uneducated, illiterate people whose educations were bought by their daddy's money, not by the brow of their sweat, the sweat of their brow. You have these weird decision makings.
Right.
Okay, so that said, there's a fundamental flaw in the reasoning that it relies upon defective data. That's the number 2 problem. So ineffective or defective data.
Yeah.
How are you going to decide level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 salary? From the Department of Labor data. Department of Labor data is already under challenge. If you look at the Department of Labor data, there are 3 places where the Department of Labor has apologized. Well, we know our data is not good. We know our data is not sufficient. So you are building a house of cards. Number 2.
Right.
Number 3, as I was going back to the emergency declaration, the 9th Circuit, a federal court has issued a nationwide injunction against Trump's visa ban for H1B and L1B people. A lot of people don't know that. It wasn't really very widely understood or discussed. Why? Because it was not a class action. The difference between a class action and a regular lawsuit is this. Yudi comes to me and says, look, I've got this H1B problem. Can you fix it? I say, okay, let's go to court. That's Yudi against the government.
Right.
If Yudi wins big, nobody else gets benefit of it.
Yeah.
Unless they also sue and they also win. Class action lawsuits are when 1 person or 2 person or 20 people say, we represent 600,000 people. They all have the same problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was not a class action. Any decision made in a class action applies to the whole class, even though they never seen the side of the face of a court.
Okay.
So this particular lawsuit, which is National Association of Manufacturers, and another organization that was very important was the American Chamber of Commerce. They did an excellent job in that lawsuit. And the judge said, you're right. Trump doesn't have this power. He cannot change domestic policy based upon a declaration of emergency. Right. He's much weaker. He can do a lot outside USA. But what he's trying to do is he's trying to influence inside US. So his premise, his very basis for promulgating this ban are to protect US jobs. That's a domestic policy. Yeah. You can't stop visas.
Right.
Okay?
Got it. Yeah.
So anybody, now this is anybody who's listening, who's stuck on a visa, have your employer join American Chamber of Commerce. I don't know who these guys are. I don't get any commission from this.
Yes,
but
yes.
Anybody who's a member of American Chamber of Commerce or National Association of Manufacturers is exempted from the visa ban.
Wow. Okay. That's very good information. Yeah.
Okay. So here's an example where court said, Mr. Trump, you don't have this authority.
Right.
And they are basing part of their regulation on that authority, which has already been kicked to the curb by the court.
Right. Right.
And that's a nationwide injunction.
Yeah.
Only if you're a member of these organizations who sued.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a series of fundamental problems.
Yeah.
Also remember, if Biden wins, and I hope he wins, he's not going to be kind to H1Bs, let me tell you that.
Right.
But he'll be reasonable. He understands that H1Bs have their place in the professional structure of this country.
Right.
Okay. If you look at his agenda, Biden's agenda online clearly says, one, I'll remove the per country limits. So your green cards come a lot faster. Two,
yes.
H1B numbers should not be decided by an arbitrary quantity. It should be decided by the market. Why should there be a quota?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Three, I'm going to make sure that we work on the H1B program. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I was in a debate with a congressman, another jackass, and he tells me, he says, well, the program is so defective, it should be scrapped. I said, wait a minute, Congressman. You know that Pentagon has never passed a budget test in the last 20 years. Are we grounding our planes? Are we bringing our troops home? Are we decommissioning them? Are we doing away with, is Pentagon for rent? I could use an office there. No? If the program is useful, first of all, let's have a study, a bipartisan study. Is this program useful? There are studies that show you cost us $100 billion just with one stroke of a pen, you stupid jackass. Okay? That's the president. So, think before you do these things.
Right.
At least do some market study. Find out what's going on before you make these decisions.
Yeah.
So, there are all kinds of policy and legal problems. If Biden wins, this is all going to go away. And even if Biden doesn't win, if we get a majority in the Senate, they have the right to, within 60 days, I think, of any regulation, they can scrap the regulation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
I have two questions, follow-up questions on this. One is a lot of my audience who are international students wanting to come, and then one who are studying right now. They're super scared and nervous because of all this. Would you think, or would you say that this is all because of election happening?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. These are Hindi mein it's called Hawaii fire. Nobody's getting killed on this.
Right.
These are shots in the air.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far they will be effective. Thank God for some of our own American Immigration Lawyers Association teams, very, very dedicated litigators, some of the employers outside. Although the big ones are still quiet, I don't know why Microsoft is not in there. I don't know why Google is not in there. Bigger universities are all in there. MIT is in there, Stanford is in there, Caltech. All these universities are in there.
Right.
Some of the best lawsuits, some of the best results we've gotten are because of university plaintiffs.
Yes.
So that's good to see.
Right.
My advice to you folks would be this, guys. I have lived in this country 30 years, and I came to this country as a student on F1. I went through OPT, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I did an H1B. The only difference between me and the other people was this. The day I had my green card interview, I also had 4 other green card interviews. So I went in 4 times, and the 5th time I went to the same officer, and she says, why are you back again? I said, this time it's my green card.
Oh,
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
And she said, you don't have a green card? I said, no, I do not have a green card. I'm here on an H1. And so we got talking, and it was nice. But remember, in those days, from the date you filed the green card, the PERM application, labor cert, to the date you got your green card was 6 months. It's almost like a fairy tale when you tell, all right, kids, gather around. Once upon a time, we used to have a green card filing and approval within 6 months. And everyone, oh, really? Now it's 16 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So therefore, I understand how you guys feel.
Mm.
But remember, you have very powerful friends in this country. Not just us. We are just lawyers. But the reason we are powerful is because the law still works. We have filed 12 lawsuits in the last 7 months against the government, my firm, our firm. We have settled 11 of them. The day we file, a week later, because the US Attorney's Office is reasonable. They know when something is not right.
Right.
Here's the beautiful thing a US Attorney's Office, one of the OSA said to me, Assistant US Attorney. These are very good people, very smart people, very dedicated people, very good lawyers. She says to me, Rajiv, I told her I was very worried about my client because his I-94 had expired and he was running into a 3-year bar and I needed a result within a week. And if she was not going to do something, I have to file for a temporary injunction. Yeah. Limited injunction. She says to me, our job is not just to protect the USCIS. Our job is to protect the system. So we have people like that in this country. You do not need to worry overly about either your future or your present. Things will work out. Trump is merely a blip on the screen. I hope I'm right. Once he's gone, things will be better.
Yeah. And the second question is the OPT, which you just mentioned a little bit, that people are thinking that OPT is going to go away.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I wanted to just get your perspective.
We have a PR problem. We have a public relations problem because there are schools and students who are exploiting the system. You know them, I know them.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problem with them being thrown out of the country, never being allowed again.
Yes.
Okay, if you exploit the system, you don't belong here. This system is built upon trust.
Right.
When you swipe a credit card or you give a credit card number, you expect things will go through. You expect nobody else is going to steal your information.
Yeah.
There's an element of trust.
Right.
So in the same way, immigration is built upon trust. A lot of what you submit a document, government says, yeah, this must be right. Don't make liars of us.
Okay? Yes.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because my job as a lawyer is not just to represent you. It is also, like my counterpart on the US Attorney's Office said, to protect the system. It's not my job to blindly just represent you. If you give me a document that I know to be false, I'm not submitting it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just remember, the reason, Trump notwithstanding, this is still a very good country to live in.
Right.
I have never regretted my decision. I make an honest living. I don't have to do anything that I don't feel in good conscience I could do. So I like being here. Right. I would still say my own nephews from India are going to school here and they just joined last year.
Yeah. And that was my follow-up question. Would you still recommend students to come to masters or bachelors?
We've got 2 kids from our family, Mumbai and Delhi, who are here.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. And one final question is, like, let's say if I'm again, hypothetical situation, if Trump does get elected, what does immigration look like? Because I know that he's doing a lot of these things to get votes for this year, because he had 4 years and he never did any of this until then. And now 2020, all of a sudden he's putting all this declaration. So what do you think if he does win? Is it still going to continue all this, or he's going to put a stop to this and do other things?
He is limited in what he can do. Remember, laws are written by Congress. He cannot change the laws.
Yeah.
And he cannot pass anything that we don't want to pass because the House is with us. So he can nibble at the edges. He can try to make things difficult. You know that he's lost 93% of lawsuits that have been filed against him. I think Stanford keeps track of all the lawsuits filed against Trump.
Wow.
93%. How much money has he wasted of the taxpayers' dollars?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. He's going to keep losing.
Yeah.
The reason we are protected, Congress, not Senate, but House and the courts. So let him come again. We'll deal with him again.
Awesome. Awesome. This is such a pleasure. I know the comments are gonna be flooded and people are gonna love you and they will want to come back and back a bit again. So thank you again for doing this. Any words of wisdom for students and encouragement?
All I can tell you guys is don't think too far into the future. Think about today and tomorrow. The rest will take care of itself. I know that many of our students have these plans extending to 5 years and 10 years and 15 years. I have never made plans like that. I don't think that's a viable way to live. Does it feel okay now? Make your plans like that. And I think this is gonna blow away. We'll know in any case in the first week of November, we'll know where we stand. So hang in there, guys. It's gonna get better. It can't get much worse, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Remember another thing, once the emergency goes away, his power is gone.
Right.
Okay. So there's a lot less he can do than he has been able to do so far.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you again so much for doing this.